Welcome to Star Wars Action News, helping Star Wars collectors collect better.
The other thing I wanted to look at are a couple of action figures, another comparison. I have gone deep in on this Disney Elite series of action figures. Have you picked any of those up, Andrew?
I have not. We don't have a Disney store anywhere near us anymore, so the only way I'd be able to get them is online. I think that some of them look really great, and some of them I just don't understand. Like, I get armor figures being in a die-cast. I don't get human figures being in die-cast.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that, because we just picked up the armor figures only.
No, I have the whole set now.
I've not seen them, though.
See, when we went to Disney Store at midnight on Force Friday, they had them there, and they had tons and tons and tons of them. And honestly, I've been so let down by the Disney Store exclusive toys. Those die-cast ships are a debacle. I was so hyped on Force Friday, and they had all these ships out. And then I saw Poe Dameron's X-Wing with the guns on it literally X'd. Like, they were so bent they were crossing each other.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so disappointed when I see those vehicles do that I'm like, well, I just don't trust their quality. I've seen junk. I'm afraid of more junk. But when I was there, the Elite Series figures, they didn't do any characters that weren't available in the main line either, the Hasbro 6-inch. So I didn't know what the draw would be, but I saw Captain Phasma.
Yeah.
And while neither the Hasbro 6-inch or the Disney Elite 6-inch is actually chromed, they need to vac metalize a Captain Phasma. Because, I mean, she's in chrome armor. She's not in gray armor. She's not in metallic silver armor. But it was metal armor for a chrome figure. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get the Phasma.
Right, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's the only one I bought. And then I brought it home and I put it in the photo studio, and I fell in love with that figure. First of all, the heft of these Elite Series figures, they are so solid feeling, you know? It's just got a good weight to it. They are not complete die-cast. There are plastic bits. But the coldness of the die-cast in your hand, the weight of it, I fell in love. I swore off these figures when they had the D23 exclusive set, which was the only place you could get R2-D2 and C-3PO. They will not be made available again.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And it wasn't any Force Awakens toys they put in there. It's all the upcoming figures that they have. The General Grievous, the Darth Maul that's now out. And it was in this huge, heavy box. And I'm like, forget it. It was $250 or something there because it was 10 figures. I'm like, no. Once I got Phasma, I was on eBay. I paid $425.
Oh, no. Oh.
Well, I also want to point out, though, as part of this story, when I opened the box and was unpacking it, because Arnie was sick and I was taking care of stuff, I would have been really angry had this been purchased at a convention and I had to haul it around.
Yeah, that was my entire point of spending that extra money. I'm like, could you imagine being at San Diego Comic-Con, lugging around this heavy box? I think the box that it shipped in, the weight given was 22 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a big box.
It's huge.
I'm like, could you imagine having to carry that through a con? And the person who sold it to me, it was in awesome condition. So I have no complaints. Plus, these things have become really hard to get, to the point that somebody sent me a picture of the flyer at the Disney store. These have release dates, and then they will be given out randomly.
Yeah, it's not like a lottery system now? Yeah. That's crazy.
And so the fact that for that money, not only did I get the 2 exclusive figures, but I'm also now set on all the future figures that are coming out for like the next 6 months. Kind of worth it, because I also had to go back. I thought for sure Force Awakens Elite figures, easy to get. They were free shipping Force Friday at Disney Store if you bought more than one. Like, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to be just fine with that. I wanted to get one home and see if I liked it. I was trying to be logical. I wanted to buy the whole set at Disney Store, but I'm talking to Marjorie. I'm like, the rational part of my brain says buy one, see if I like it, then order the rest. Well, when I bought one, found out I was in love with it, went to order the rest. All they had left online were Kylo Ren and the Stormtrooper. And I waited and waited for them to restock. They never restocked. As of now, they still haven't restocked. I talked to Disney Store associates. They said that they weren't sure if they ever would restock. These are limited figures. I had to go to eBay. And do you want to know the penalty of my patience?
Yes. What was the penalty of your patience?
The Flame Trooper. Remember, these are MSRP of $25. $49.98.
Oh my God.
I think Andrew's learning a lot of important lessons.
Oh.
This is like an ABC after school special.
Just like Hasbro, they dual packed the Rey with the BB-8.
Mm-hmm.
$59.25.
Oh. Wow. So are they worth it though? Like you feel like, is it worth the $50+
She was the only one at 50+.
Okay.
I figure my average went really well because I didn't buy the Finn and he was only 35.
Poor Finn.
I know, but so my average for the 3 figures was $40 a figure.
Okay.
So $15 penalty for not buying them the first night.
Okay. All right. That's acceptable.
And
also not hauling them around Manhattan.
Yes. And there is definitely something to be said about that.
I will gladly pay a penalty to not have to carry either a large box around a convention or a heavy box or any combination thereof.
And as it was, we had to ship from New York, and adding those figures would have added quite a bit of weight and made balancing everything. They have to be on the bottom for sure. You don't want them to crush the Hasbro cards or anything. So yeah, I mean, I felt it was worth it for these. I also took it as a personal lesson to not wait on these elite figures anymore.
Well, they are elite.
So I wanted to do a comparison, and the only Hasbro 6-inch figure I was able to get that wasn't junk. I mean, I'm not going to compare Rey to Rey, okay? That's just, we know that Rey figure is bad. But I decided, okay, let's look at other figures I got. Well, I never was able to find a Kylo Ren in stores. So I was lucky enough to have 2 of the San Diego Comic-Con First Order Stormtroopers, so I cracked open a package of one of those, and it's a very nice package. It comes with a really cool book that you can't get except in the exclusive, The Evolution of the Stormtrooper, and it's got like Iron Man like overlays. If you've seen the first Iron Man movie, how he had like the tracing paper that created the schematics, it's got tracing paper that points out features on Stormtrooper armor.
That's really cool.
Kind of like the pages in the old encyclopedias with the human body.
Yes, right, exactly like that. So I've got a Hasbro First Order Stormtrooper here, and I've got a Disney Elite First Order Stormtrooper here, which because they were online, I'm like, screw it, I'm getting 2.
Troop building.
Well, I felt like Captain Phasma needed a 501st troop on each side.
That makes sense.
Or a First Order troop.
And see, here we go. We're starting down this. Well, wouldn't be just one standing around.
Right. Well, you saw the new trailer that was on Instagram, right? You need at least 500.
Andrew, I thought we were friends.
Well, do keep in mind, if you wanted to do this with Hasbro, they are selling solid cases of First Order Stormtroopers, and you can pre-order them now at dorksidetoys.com. And that's 6 First Order Stormtroopers per case for $125. So you could, I'm so tempted to get one of those cases.
Well, if they're the same quality as the one that I got, I'm happy with just the one.
Now, the Elite Series figures are a 1/2 inch taller, so it's not like you could just take your Captain Phasma because you feel the armored figure looks better in diecast and stand it around the others. Now, admittedly, Captain Phasma's taller than most, but literally, the Elite Stormtrooper is a head above, or half a head above, the Hasbro one.
That's a little disappointing.
Okay, but that's not the first thing I notice when you put them together like that. The first thing that strikes me that I'm just like completely in awe of, because if you hold them together separately, you won't notice this, but the Elite figure, the white.
The Hasbro one, in the light we're in,
it's dirty.
It has like a pinkish hue when compared to the bright white of the other. When sitting it alone, I'm like, oh, it looks white. But here, it's got kind of just a reddish hue.
Yeah, it's not... Yeah, wow.
And I would have never noticed that before, but comparing them side by side. The Elite figure also has a much better paint job. which isn't to say it's perfect, but my first order Stormtrooper from Hasbro, there's paint smudges on the nose from where the black is around the eye, and on the chest, those lines just aren't very full.
Mm-hmm.
And around the knees, there's a lot of paint there that's like, I got black on the white and white on the black. It's, pretty badly done knee area. And on the Elite figure, it is much more solid. I could still ding on both of them, the white blocks on the black belt. But beyond that, I think that the Elite has a much nicer look to it.
Mm.
It feels more collector friendly, which is what the 6-inch line was supposed to be from Hasbro.
Right.
Oh, there's no comparison anymore. Since these Elite figures came out, the 6-inch figures just don't hold up compared to them. I mean, except in one regard, which I'll get to in a second.
I think there's two.
Okay.
There's two places where Hasbro wins. But right now, as far as the look, if you're putting this on your shelf, I think the Elite figure is, literally a head above what Hasbro's been putting out.
How does he stand on the shelf?
Well, he does come with a figure stand, which is something also nice that I wish Hasbro would start doing. He has peg holes in his feet, and the feet are plastic. The feet and the head and the hands are plastic.
Okay.
The rest that I'm feeling, judging just, temperature. Oh, the belt is also plastic. The rest appear to be die-cast parts. And he will stand really well. He's got some hip articulation that allows me to spread his legs a little bit. He stands really well just on his own. But for a shelf, you never know. If, we live in Illinois. We do have earthquakes from time to time. I feel better having him on the figure stand.
Yeah, I had a really hard time getting my Hasbro one to stand up. And I started looking at the bottom of his feet, and there's a curve to the bottom of his feet. So he rocks.
Yes, he does.
Unless you've got his feet just so, he's not going to stand up.
Yeah, I got him to stand without too much trouble, but he definitely has a rock to him that the Elite figure doesn't have.
And the slightest bump to the shelf, he topples right over.
Yeah, but let's talk about where Hasbro wins. First of all, and people have complained about this a lot with the Elite Series figures. And this is my first time having to deal with it, because I did Captain Phasma. That was my first one. She wears a cape. It hides the entire back of the figure. I don't know why, maybe a costing issue, they didn't choose to put little plugs in. But remember the old G.I. Joe figures? You looked at the back and you saw all the screws?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10 visible Phillips. No, I think they're actually like the hex head, kind of like what keeps a Macintosh together, screws.
Yeah, that's one of the big issues that I have with them is I can't, most likely you're not going to see the screw holes when you have them on the shelf, but I don't know. You get them in some of those poses and you want to be able to see, the back of an arm or something, and that just ruins it for me.
You basically here's where you've got arm, off-center back, kidneys, square in the butt, 2 in the thigh, so 2 in each thigh in the back, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for me. I can't do screw holes.
Well, you know what? There's so many of them, and it looks like Swiss cheese on the back. And they're not like symmetrical. They're just all over the map, and there's nothing you can do to hide them except don't raise his arms and leave him always with his back to the wall.
Just get some white out and put it in there. That would work for the Stormtrooper.
It would work with the Stormtrooper, but given that these are on the stands and things, my feeling is I will display them honestly, like Oscar statues or something. I do that with figures quite a bit, is you just create rows of them and they're standing in a neutral pose, or maybe maybe a little bit posed with a gun or something. And I think it looks tremendous in that way. The other area where Hasbro clearly wins is articulation, though.
Really? I thought these had decent articulation to them.
Well, they have decent articulation. They are so much better than Hasbro 3 3/4 inch figures.
Well, that doesn't take much.
But on this one, what you get is you get a ball-jointed head, so you can do quite a bit with the head there.
Okay.
There are also ball-jointed and hinged shoulders, so you can move his arms in a number of ways, but the armor does prevent a full range of motion. The elbows are just hinged, so you can't swivel the forearm. And the wrist is just basically a pegged hand like Hasbro used to do all those years ago. So you can swivel the wrist, but you can't bend the wrist.
Okay, so he can hold the blaster gangsta style.
Yes. You can swivel the waist. The legs, maybe it's the belt. Yeah, it's the belt on this. There is the ball jointed hips, so you get some hip movement that the armor will allow. The knees have a single bend in them, so there's one hinge per knee. And the ankles, they rock in a couple directions, but it's really almost a swivel back and forth, the hinge kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we got 14 points of articulation on this elite figure.
That's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible, but let's compare that to Hasbro's here, because you've got the ball jointed head again.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the same arm articulation. You've got the elbows that are double hinged, so you can rotate them in both side to side and bend the elbow. Then you've got the same pegged hands. They both have the ball jointed hips, but Hasbro has a double hinged knee for a much greater range of motion.
Yeah.
The Hasbro figure doesn't appear to have waist articulation, or is mine just stuck?
Sometimes the paint sticks.
Can yours turn at the waist?
No, he does not. He just has that mid, abdomen swivel with the top of his armor.
That's what I'm saying. I can't even get mine to do that.
Oh, really?
No.
Mine moves right below the breastplate.
Really?
Yep. It's like a ball joint in there.
I wonder if they didn't do that for the Comic-Con ones, if that was added later.
Maybe.
I cannot get that thing to move at all.
So the Comic-Con ones are different. That means I'll have to get one.
And then it has ankle rockers as well as hinged ankles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 3 or 4 more points of articulation, and the articulation it has provides a much greater range of movement. So if you want to get a really dynamic pose, if you want to recreate that Unleashed Stormtrooper art where they're like kneeling and shooting and all of that, you gotta have the Hasbro figure. Because of the die cast and everything. The other thing is the die cast may have a tendency to chip. Die cast usually does.
I've been worried about that, actually. Have you got a chip on your knee there?
I think out of the box, I have a chip on the knee where I already see metal underneath. And that's just how it came, and it's what die cast is going to do. But I think that requires a much greater deal of a care and attention. And then the accessories, I honestly wonder if Disney hired Hasbro to make the guns. They are virtually identical. They're both plastic in both cases, and they are the exact same size, even though the Elite figure is bigger. The only difference I see is once I put them next to each other, the Hasbro one does look a little off-white again compared to the pure white of the Elite.
And I think it's just because they're putting like a lacquer on this Elite figure, and it's got a much better paint hold on the material.
Yeah, but the guns don't have that lacquer. They're just plastic.
Really?
But they look whiter.
How does the Elite one hold the gun? Is it pretty solid in there?
Yeah, it's really tight in the hand, and he's got the finger extended for the trigger.
Okay. Yeah, as I noticed with mine, like the gun virtually falls out of his hand.
Mine's tight in the hand on that one, too. I have no problem holding the gun with either of them, even gangsta style. So overall, which is better? It depends what you're looking for. I'm not going to stop buying one line because of the other. I think I'm in for both lines.
I think this Elite one, if they can do more and make it easier to get for people, is going to really just overtake. Because if you can get it in the store, it's not bad price.
But by making them limited, they feel more collectible to me, too. I could buy 6 of these first order Stormtroopers for Hasbro right now online. The Elite one is no longer available online. Right now, the only one available as of this recording, and it's right now easy to get, is the Darth Maul. Disney stores have that in stock right now. And you asked about the human figures, why they look good in the diecast. They just have a sheen to them. They don't look metallic that much. They just feel like a higher quality piece. I'd equate it to the Gentle Giant mini bust made of polystone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I just think that if you're going to have something that's diecast, it should represent something that could be some sort of, metal or something that's heavier than just plastic. So when you've got a character like Darth Maul with all of his robes and everything, it just feels strange to me to make that diecast. As a figure, like as a little statue, sure, You know, that I can get behind that, but as a figure, I don't get it for some reason.
Hey, to go back to your gun question, they come with 2 guns. I was referring to the bigger one that fits really well in the hand. Were you talking about the tiny blaster?
You know, yeah, I was talking about the itty bitty one.
Ah, okay. Well, that does change things, and it is looser in both cases. You know, the hand is built, I think, to hold the, you know, it looks like a classic Stormtrooper blaster, but it's got some white paint on it. I don't know where this little Scout Trooper blaster came from.
Looking with the Hasbro one, it can kind of clip onto his thigh. Does the Elite one have a little place for you to clip it in there?
Where do you clip it on his thigh? I could not find that spot.
On his right thigh, there's a little slot.
Oh, that's where that goes.
This has like been such a helpful episode.
What the Elite figure has, and it is slightly different than the Hasbro one, where the Hasbro one has a protrusion on the gun and a slot in the Trooper. The Elite figure has a protrusion on the Trooper and a slot in the gun, and it just slides down over the tab.
Oh, interesting.
So I do think the smaller gun is just supposed to be worn as an accessory and the bigger gun in the hand. But the nice thing about the Hasbro one is you can actually get, because of the greater articulation, a 2-handed blaster pose. So they can grip the barrel and be pulling the trigger.
Yep.
You cannot do that with the Elite. The elbows just don't bend in like that. You can't get a great sideways pose out of him, but you can get at least 2 hands on the gun. It looks much better if you have them standing at attention, like with the 2-handed gun pose, than trying to shoot it. Otherwise, they're shooting from the hip, and having tried that with a real rifle, it hurts.
Thanks for watching this video. You can see full episodes of Star Wars Action News with more collecting news and reviews at swactionnews.com. We also have thousands of toy and collectible photos in our photo gallery. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. May the pegs be stocked and the Force be with you.